The FDIC is closing out the accounts of the failed bank, getting set for Monday's payoff. That's the activity going on there. It's been a banner day for new accounts at Hennessy's other bank, a steady stream of new customers, concerned customers, sad ones.
I feel terrible because I grew up with that bank. I was 17 when I started doing business there. And I never knew a better bunch of people in all my life. Of course,
the city had a stake at farmers and merchants, $100,000 in CDs and $20,000 in other accounts. It's all safe. Mayor Joe Hickey sees some good from what has happened, though.
Well, I'm sure that people's going to stand back and survey their business after this and maybe scrutinize it a little bit more closely and say, well, maybe I better do something different with mine.
They're all talking about what has happened in Hennessy, but they're not panicking. It's happened before in Oklahoma, and they know it probably will happen again somewhere. They'll get some answers tomorrow night at a town meeting. That's not to say it hasn't caused some inconvenience, though.
The people that went out of town to shop and then now they're going to have to go pick up the checks, you know, is probably an inconvenience to them.
I think everybody's going to start watching how they spend their money. And on the Christmas shopping, I think they're going to cut down and be more economical. And I know with me, it's going to make a lot of difference.
Hennessy survived the boom and bust of oil and agriculture, and the town and its people will get through this too. But this isn't just another holiday season. It's going to be remembered as the season one of the banks closed. And a lot of people took stock in their lives and their lot. George Tomick, News 4 in Hennessy.
Today was like any other in Las Vegas. People from all over the world are here to gamble, catch a few shows, and have a good time. Conspicuously absent on the Strip are the parades, banquets, and other pre-rodeo festivities that were tradition in Oklahoma City for 20 years. Even the Thomas and Mack Arena is quiet. All of the activity today can be found indoors. Las Vegas is where America comes to gamble, and that includes cowboys. Plugging nickels into the slot machines is only a hobby for most. And rodeo contestants say they don't buy the Oklahoma City argument that they'll gamble away all of their winnings. One cowboy claims there are just as many temptations in Oklahoma. They're just not as obvious. The contestants want the Professional Rodeo Cowboy Association to know they're big boys now. Some will gamble, some won't.
Every individual's got their own idea. If they want to come gamble, they'll come gamble, you know. Hell, I'm going to gamble a little. I love it. They're having fun out here.
You know, like the Cowboys at Oklahoma City, you're there for one reason, you know, to do the best you can all day long. That's what you think about. Here, there's going to be a lot of cowboys, you know, they'll be, well, let's go gamble for a while or something, you know. And you're not really concentrating on what you're there for.
What about you? If you win some money, you going to be at the crap table?
No, sir, I don't gamble.
While most cowboys are singing praise of Las Vegas, some will admit privately they are not the hottest ticket in town. Donald Curry and Milton McCrory will fight for the world welterweight title of the world tonight. Some big-name celebrities are playing the Strip. Promoters have promised cowboys a sellout every night. Some say that's doubtful. According to one bull rider, I'll believe it when I see it. In Las Vegas, Nevada, Kurt Autry, News 4. Keno, blackjack, and the slot machines are the main diversions here. But the place that bills itself as a city that never sleeps has a new claim to fame, home of the National Finals Rodeo. Bright lights, big names, and plenty of money. It can all be found here on Fremont Street in downtown Las Vegas. But what you won't find are a lot of cowboys. They hang out on the other side of town. This is Sam's Town, the only true Western hotel, casino, and saloon in Las Vegas. Many of the NFR contestants are here, including plenty of Oklahomans. A mean two-step and a friendly smile can be found in this dance hall. And although some here will tell you they like Oklahoma, unkind words about their new host city are rare.
I'm an Okie, and Oklahoma City sure built the national finals to what it is today. And I was upset at first when they decided to move it out here to Las Vegas. But Las Vegas is welcomed every cowboy, everybody associated with the finals with open arms.
I felt, as most people do, whenever a change is being made and you've been involved and things have gone great where you've been, you really don't want to change at first, but for the longevity, I think, of the rodeo business, the industry itself, I think they've made a wise choice. I really do.
Will the gambling eat up the rodeo prize money? And will the event Oklahoma City nurtured into a world-class show end up a lounge act in a city of headliners? It's too early to answer those questions, but you can bet Oklahoma officials will be looking for answers. The NFR contract here is 5 years, but as far as some Oklahomans are concerned, it's not too early to start thinking about luring the NFR back home. In Las Vegas, Nevada, Kurt Autry, News 4.
The escape of 41-year-old Reginald Still from a moving airplane spawned a large manhunt in and around the airport. Still, who had a history of escape attempts, was being flown into Oklahoma City on a plane loaded with 43 other federal prisoners. As the plane was taxiing in, Still pried open an emergency exit, jumped out onto the wing, and then down to the runway. Police and federal authorities haven't seen him since. Still was on his way to California to stand trial for federal stolen car charges. He was coming from the federal prison hospital in Missouri, where he had undergone psychiatric tests. For hours, dozens of federal and state authorities searched in the darkness in the area around the AAR terminal. When they turned up nothing, they called off their search for Still until daybreak. And as officials began another search of the airport area this morning, they still had trouble believing the way Still had escaped.
He had to be somewhat knowledgeable of the operation of the emergency exit. There's a special way to do it, especially while the cabin is pressurized, which it was, I understand, at the time.
On his prison transfer form, Still is listed as an extreme security risk. The report recommends handcuffs and leg irons and other security measures. But officials admit the leg irons were not in use when Still escaped.
Yes, we had the handcuffs, waist chain. We did take special precautions, yeah.
Do you feel like leg chains should have been used?
No comment this time.
Authorities now believe Still has escaped airport property and may be in South Oklahoma City or possibly in other counties.
Okay.
Jeff Fowler, News 4, Will Rogers, World Airport.
The city of Las Vegas opened its arms to the National Finals Rodeo, and with good reason. This event may prove to be the most lucrative single attraction in Las Vegas for the entire year. In Oklahoma City, the NFR was reportedly worth $12 million to the local economy. But in Nevada, that figure could triple. Money is changing hands, lots of money. Contestants and spectators alike are buying souvenirs. They're gambling, dining, and seeing shows. People with a high disposable income have choices in Las Vegas that Oklahoma City could never offer. The Cowboys have a few complaints here, but you won't hear them complaining loudly. The floor of the arena is too small, and there were empty seats for the opening night performance. But the bottom line is they can earn more money in Las Vegas, and the promise of a big purse has contestants singing praise of this town.
Oklahoma City's kind of cowboy-oriented, and Las Vegas is kind of more of a gambling deal. But like for the Cowboys, you know, the money is a big factor in moving. And like for us so far, we got our horses here, and they've been great with us.
Oklahoma City does have a presence in Las Vegas this week. 5 billboards strategically placed around the high traffic areas of the city read, "To the NFR, wish you weren't here, OKC." But Las Vegas promoters aren't worried about losing the event. They claim all of the hotels and big-name country and western stars in town will keep the NFR where it is.
We have the most requests that they've ever had in the history of the NFR for people coming to town, just like that was part of our promotion because it is Las Vegas. And because Nashville's here this week. I mean, Nashville's moved here this week. I'm sure you know all the stars that are playing here.
Show our shirts.
Would you rather sit down?
Where you better stand in that.
No, raise your arms up, you can breathe good. Straight up over your head.
Collar's gonna raise my arms, so that's how I sleep.
That's true. Raise your arms straight up over your head. Where'd you drive from?
H-A-A-S. Hey, I'm doing good. I had to write that down. They make pictures all the time.
Hell being famous, isn't it?
Definitely.
I don't make a picture. I don't, so let me get out of the way. I don't make a picture. I can't take a picture.
That kind of looks like the one that you did of me.
We got all these bank statements.
Oh, okay.
I want to meet your mother too.
This was the scene yesterday morning. Ice and multi-car pileups all over the city area. Hundreds of people spend rush hour either trying to untangle themselves from fender benders or recovering from more serious accidents. But it all adds up to the same thing. Someone loses money. Today, the cars came rolling into insurance companies across Oklahoma City. Judy Smith works for State Farm and has been writing claim checks all day long. 2 cars every 20 minutes are brought into this garage. Judy assesses the damage, then writes a check. She is not alone. There have been over $1 million paid out by Oklahoma City firms, and the total will go even higher. But you can rest easy for now. Despite the money being doled out by insurance companies, your premiums will not be immediately affected.
The companies over a period of years kind of get a feel for how much they're going to get each year, and the insurance premiums are based on that. We don't really anticipate any raise in the premiums due to this. This seems pretty normal. The first storm of the year, people just go out and pile up on top of each other, and in a few weeks after they get some experience, they'll remember what ice is all about and they'll slow down.
Statewide, over $2 million have been paid out over the last 24 hours, so in the long run, your insurance agent is the big loser, and that losing streak will continue as the sliding and crashing continues on city streets and overpasses. Kevin Ogle, News 4.
Many people dread the cold, but at this automotive shop, freezing temperatures and the threat of snow are an almost welcome sight. Winter means money to mechanics. People buy snow tires, antifreeze, and pay for tune-ups. There are special considerations when the mercury dips below the freezing mark. Routine maintenance becomes paramount. But you may have trouble getting your car into the shop this week. The recent cold spell and the winter storm warnings have some mechanics turning away business.
The request for people wanting these type of services probably triples, at least sometimes more. We end up on a couple of weeks turning away business. We just don't have the facilities to do it. And most people are probably in that same spot. If we could spread it out, we'd be in good shape, but we can't do that. Weather doesn't help us in that respect sometimes.
If you can't get your car into the shop this week, there are a few things you can do at home. When parking, don't use your emergency brake unless you have to. When the temperature dips below 15 degrees, often the brake will freeze. If you have antifreeze, add more. The liquid in your car now may be old and ineffective. And give your car a little extra time to warm up before you drive. A warm engine is less likely to fail. It may be a little comfort, but if you do get stuck, know that you are not alone. The American Automobile Association will take more calls this month than any other.
The winter wonderland did not stop Christmas shopping at Norman's Sooner Fashion Mall. It just temporarily slowed it down. Normanites had to work a little harder at playing Santa.
All the snow, I don't like it. I don't really care for it. I don't think it should snow here in Oklahoma. I think they ought to pass a law about it, really. Outlaw it, you know. I think that's what they did in Miami, but I'm not sure. Maybe they get more sunshine down there or something.
Well, I'm pretty used to it. I'm from Indiana. So we'd be sitting in a 6-foot drift by now.
But what do you think about it in Norman, Oklahoma?
I don't like it.
Well, one thing which isn't selling too well tonight in Norman is new cars. As you can see, it's a little bit tough to see exactly what you'd be getting. And of course, nobody wants to take a test drive in this stuff. Some Normanites had trouble getting started. But once they did get going, it looked like they were going to survive the blizzard of '85. Scott Wallace, News 4 in Norman.
For city crews, the morning light signaled the end of a long, hard day. The snowplows and sanders had been out for most of the night. The main objective was to clear the major thoroughfares by the morning rush hour. At 10 o'clock this morning, it was clear the hard work had paid off. From the air, it was obvious last night's hard-packed snow had been reduced to a much less threatening slush. Bridges, exit, and entrance ramps were still icy in spots. But for the most part, all of Oklahoma City's major arteries were passable. By mid-afternoon, even some of the secondary streets were clear. The combination of bright sunshine and hard work by city crews had taken some of the danger out of winter driving.
Right now, the major thoroughfares are in pretty good shape. This evening, they're going to refreeze, and it's going to become awfully slick. We'll have our night shift coming on at 9 o'clock, and we'll be working 24 hours a day until the roads get clear.
And city crews are expecting a little help from Mother Nature. No precipitation is in the forecast. And even though the mercury will stay well below the freezing mark for most of the weekend, the sunny skies and constant travel should help keep the roadways clear, at least until the next Arctic blast hits town. In southwest Oklahoma City, Kurt Autry, News 4.
$65.
All of our machinery was operating very early. We had a lot of Christmas cards early in the day, which meant that everybody was trying to get their Christmas cards in the mail. The lines were very long at all of our acceptance units with packages and that sort of thing. So I say that maybe a little procrastination, but it's finally here.
Racing. And as far as I'm concerned, I'd like to see him impeached.
The legislature shall pass no law. We could go on uniform general laws. It's all horse participation, but very minor. Submit that if a good...
You know, our image has been hurt by so many things in the state, and one of them is our incompetent horse racing commission. I'm for getting rid of them and letting the people elect a horse racing commission. One for each congressional district and one at large. And maybe we'll get somebody on there that knows about horse racing.
A laser cuts through material that has fused a uterus to the abdominal wall. The patient may finally be able to conceive again after 7 years of trying with no luck. The surgery offers new optimism for her. It marks the beginning of laser surgery workshops at Baptist Medical Center to teach physicians just one of many ways to help infertile couples conceive.
It's a matter of fitting the patient to the therapy rather than fitting the therapy to the patient. And I think the advantage of an institution or group that has all methods of therapy is simply that.
Dr. Howard Jones launched this country's in vitro fertilization program, which resulted in the first test tube baby in the U.S. almost 7 years ago. That procedure is now enjoying market success in women over the age of 35.
The pregnancy rates in patients between the age of 35 and 40 with in vitro fertilization is basically as good as it is below 35. And it probably means that the aging factor has had something to do with factors other than the basic quality of the eggs and sperm in older people. And that at least up to the age of 40, these seem to be quite good, provided one can arrange for them to come in contact and allow the fertilization process to go forward.
That provides an optimism that has not existed before. The center plans to begin its own in vitro fertilization procedure in January and already has patients waiting for 1986 to arrive. Terry Cook, News 4.
love to. Now, you ready to white out here in just a minute?
First name? Yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am.
Do you know where a D is? Can you find me a D?
Shelley Sandoval and her family have a warm apartment today. But last month, Shelley didn't know if she would have any power. Her husband suffered a work-related accident last year and hasn't had a job since. Shelley was laid off in October. This won't be an ideal Christmas for the Sandoval children, but at least they have heat.
The program's important to us because without the program, we wouldn't have the resources to pay our bill. You know, we just got a 48-hour cutoff notice when we went down there and applied, and if they hadn't helped pay the bill, you know, we would probably have been sitting without any utilities.
The Sandovals are one of thousands of families that have benefited from the Share the Warmth program. Many of the checks processed here at Oklahoma Natural Gas are higher than the actual bills. Some customers round up to the nearest dollar, while others will spend an extra $5 or $10 to help a needy family meet their utility bill. ONG has raised close to $1 million through the Share the Warmth program. The Salvation Army administers the funds to pay not just gas bills, but for any primary heating costs.
One of the good things about this program is that it goes to meet any kind of home heating needs. It doesn't have to be just payment of the gas bill. It can go for electricity, it can go for kerosene, it can even go for wood. The idea is to help people out who are in some sort of temporary financial difficulty, and we do that through the voluntary overpayment of bills from Oklahoma Natural Gas customers. Well, it's been terrific, and it's been very, very interesting.
The HTLV3 test was hailed as the answer to our prayers last March. It can detect the presence of an antibody indicating exposure to AIDS. The nation's blood supply was declared safe from contamination by blood donors. But now 2 physicians from Harvard have announced that the test misses up to 5% of the blood that is contaminated by AIDS, roughly 2 in 100,000 cases.
And there's nobody yet that can put a number on that. The calculations that they've made are based upon their estimates. Our calculations are significantly lower. We think about one donor in, say, 300,000 to 400,000 would be missed.
The reason? Because it takes anywhere from 2 weeks to 8 months from the time of exposure to AIDS until one system produces an antibody that can be detected by the test. It's that lag time that accounts for the possible miss.
I think what they're trying to emphasize is we must not take the pressure off the high-risk individuals. Of the individuals who have donated in our system who have come up positive, 3 out of 4 were in a high-risk category.
There is a risk, one that can only be lessened with a test that could detect the presence of the AIDS virus. That would be in the blood from the moment exposure occurs. But picking up the virus is far more difficult. Terry Cook, News 4.
Merry Christmas. Circuits are busy now, ma'am. Will you try later?
Sorry, the circuits are all busy at this time. The circuits are busy right now.
Sorry, the circuits are busy.
Thank you.
Many times we encounter the same thing, like a no-circuit condition, but we're here to help them, try to get the call through for them the fastest way possible.
I'm in AT&T, Andre. Have a Merry Christmas. I'm sorry, Andre. Our circuits are busy right now. Can you try a little bit later? Thank you. Kathy, may I have your name?